Google has this list of banned words you're not allowed to say anymore. Black box, man hours, black hole, things in deep space tend to get offended, so you be careful. Hello there, my freedom-loving friend, and welcome back to the JP Reacts channel, where we like to call out the lies, hypocrisy, and corruption of tyrants, shine the light of awareness on woke absurdities, and highlight the amazing work of other freedom fighters. Now, tactic number one of tyrants, it's their calling card. It's nothing else works without it. Banning speech, banning words. You do that, you control the narrative, and you also control people's thinking. And banning words works really well if you're compliant with it, if you're obedient with it. But the question is, will you be obedient to Google's banning of words, or are you going to be a lion and let them ban words and you exercise your freedom and sovereignty, free thinking and free speech, and say what you're gonna say anyway? The choice is yours. You being here, I'm guessing it's a little bit more the latter for you. I know it is for me. But nonetheless, in communism is trying to infiltrate everywhere news, Google bosses have released a list of banned words to their staff. It's fun. Some of the woke staff is actually pushing back, which is fun. Like the inmates trying to run the asylum, and other inmates don't want those inmates to run the asylum. It's good. It's like having like reptiles in an aquarium and you're just watching them. It's like, I'm gonna stay out here. But you in your own little reptilian world, y'all are fun to watch. It's hilarious. So let's get at it. This is reported by the dailymail.co.uk. Woke Google bosses ban staff from using terms including man hours, you guys, blacklist, and chubby in inclusive language dossier or dossier or whatever. They're getting a little pushback. Tory MP Nigel Mills, no idea who that is, but nonetheless called the changes woke nonsense, telling The Sun, I guess speaking to the nearest star in the sky, I don't know where people find the time to come up with this sort of thing. I also don't know where they find the time to do it either, but they're committed. Who cares? We should not be ditching phrases and words used for a generation just because some snowflakes might get impacted. They probably have an impacted colon with how full of shit they are. Meanwhile, a Google employee told a newspaper that staff had ignored the guide and focused on getting on with their jobs. They should not be doing their jobs. They should be focused on things that won't move the needle. You know, employee benefits, you gotta have like arcade games, free smoothies, coffee, safe space meditation areas so that you can go there and be pathetic without anybody watching. Why would these people wanna do their jobs instead of being committed to wasting time in a way that benefits, well, no one, I guess. So I'm surprised some of the woke Google employees are pushing back on it, but I guess they are with all their beta male power. They revealed we're much too busy to be worried about whether some totally harmless phrase that's been used for years might upset someone somewhere. If you want to make everybody happy all the time, you can't say anything. It is impossible. So the idea that, hey, here's what we're gonna do, guys. We're just gonna ban language to the point where nobody could possibly be offended about anything, anytime, any place. You think that'll work? Well, here's the deal, bro. You banning language offends me. So, job not well done. Google has said its dossier only provided editorial guidelines for writing clear and consistent Google-related developer documentation. So like this banned words for their internal Google use. Writing clear and consistently, you have to use words that have meaning. In their internal crap, let's just say they needed to use the term black hole for whatever reason. Hey, we've got the astronomy department in Google and we need to use the term black hole. Cool. A very clear, consistent way to describe a black hole is to call it, like, I don't know, a black hole. But apparently Google and their reptilian minds think, no, using the term black hole, that is going to offend someone somewhere. Cool. So now you're going to be using nothing but unclear language to describe such a thing. And what else do you call a black hole other than a black hole? This is non-existent time, space, energy, fabric of the universe with wholeness. Cool. That works really well. It's not the first time the search engine has launched. By the way, in a second, I'll show you their list of banned words. It's not the first time the search engine has lurched into wokery either. Last year, Google launched an inclusive language. Dude, anytime I've heard the term inclusive language, it is nothing but idiocracy in motion. It's nothing but 1984 coming at you full force. It only hits you if you get in the way. It's your choice. Making 1984 fiction again says, hey, instead of using inclusive language, we'll use accurate language. And by the way, if you're a piece of garbage offended by a word that has a meaning of piece of garbage, then instead of you being offended by you hearing something that you are, how about you just try to not be such a piece of garbage? But speaking of Google's inclusive language initiative that they launched last year, users typing landlord will see a warning that it may not be inclusive to all readers, with a suggestion they should try property owner or proprietor instead. Yeah, the word landlord is 100% not inclusive to all users. It is not meant to be inclusive to all people. It is only meant to be inclusive to landlords. I am not a landlord. If you use the word landlord around me, I would realize I am not a landlord. You are not talking about me. I wouldn't feel butthurt for being unincluded in what you're talking about. Why is that? Because everything isn't about me. Narcissists need to make everything about them. If you're talking about something that has nothing to do with me, I will be uncomfortable. I will try to divert the conversation back to me. So this is a very narcissistic inclusive language initiative of Google. You're not allowed to talk about basketball anymore because it's uninclusive to some people who aren't basketball players. So you can't say anything without someone being unincluded because you're not talking about everyone, everywhere, at all times with everything you say. Google! You should be smarter than this. I do think Google is smarter than this, but they're more evil than this. This comes from evilness. Evil's all about control. God's all about freedom. Forgive me for knowing that truth. The word humankind was a suggested alternative to what the online giant apparently sees as the controversial term mankind. Man, do you remember when Neil Armstrong faked the moon landing, steps foot on the moon in Stanley Kubrick's basement, says this is one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind? Should we censor that? Probably should, because it was a fake moon. You should be able to fake moon landings. It's part of freedom. Dude, that astronaut's up there being a bigot. He just said mankind. Yeah, the meaning of mankind is actually humankind. Like, that's the meaning. Whenever someone says mankind, they're not talking about men. You would know this if you've got more than 2 brain cells with a synaptic connection that can work together and plow through these really oppressive terms like mankind. Gender-specific terms such as policeman or housewife were also replaced by police officers and stay-at-home spouses. Here is the most hilarious piece of hypocrisy I've ever seen. Gender-specific terms are banned by Google, or you get an uninclusive language warning with them. So gender-specific terms are banned. We can't make this about gender. It is wrong. It is uninclusive. Then on the other hand, we need to make everything about gender. What are your pronouns? What gender are you deciding to be today? Switch your gender. Children should be able to choose their gender. Everything should be about gender. And on the other hand, nothing should be about gender, including accurate language that describes gender. I'm getting pretty excited about this. Let's take a look at their list of banned words. You know, this is Google really moving the needle. I mean, whoever at the company is making this list of banned words, they're just moving the needle. I mean, this is a multi-billion-dollar company. It's probably going to be worth zillions now that they've gone to the trouble of banning these words. Going to be really good for business. Phrases banned at Google. Black box. Cool. We not only should we ban the phrase black box, we should actually ban black boxes altogether. Get them out of existence. So airplane goes down. What happened? Who the hell cares? We banned the black boxes. Everybody's more included now. We don't know what happened on the plane, but it's fine. Man hours. It's terribly offensive. I mean, man hours? That is uninclusive to minutes. Why are we using this measure of time in hours? Like, that is very oppressive to measures of time that aren't hours. How do the minutes feel? How do the seconds feel? Black hole, we talked about that. Blacklist. How's AOC gonna put Ted Cruz on her blacklist if we have to ban blacklist? If you're gonna ban the words, ban the things too, guys. If you really want to move the needle of pushing society forward right over the cliff. Whitelist. Can't use that either. Cool. Whitelist, blacklist. Nothing should be about race. On the other hand, everything should be about race. As long as it's us. Chubby. Man, I'm surprised they're actually banning the word chubby. What do you want? Call someone fat instead? Like, chubby's a fine term as long as you're not using it. I mean, you should be able to use it in a mean way. I'm all about free speech. I don't want people to be mean. I don't think they should, but they have the right to, as long as they're not committing crimes. So chubby is banned. Crazy is banned. They had to ban crazy because they don't want people calling them what they are. Like banning words. This is crazy. Dude, if we also ban the words that people would need to use to call us out on our lunacy, that would protect us. Put crazy on the list, Cletus. How do you spell crazy? Doesn't matter. Bonkers. Dude, bonkers is a very offensive term. It's like fun and goofy, but it's obviously rooted in white supremacy. It's extremist, insurrectionist, bonkers. Mad? You're gonna be a fragile person if you're offended by the word mad. But also mad is very uninclusive to happy people. So dummy variable, which I think is a computer coding term. You guys. I felt pain just saying that. You guys. What about us guys? What about you ladies? What about you, them, theirs? Can we say the term you, them, theirs? I mean, it's very inclusive of confused people, but it's very uninclusive to those who think their being is based on pronouns. It wouldn't be weird, like, you find some yogi who's been meditating in a cave for 40 years, trying to find himself, they-self, and after 40 years of deep, intense meditation, connection to God, impeccable connection to their own soul, they come out and realize, I know who I am. I am fully self-realized, fully self-aware. I am my pronouns. I have reduced the entirety of my being, the significance of my being. I'm an extension of God, and I've reduced all that to a couple words in sentence structure. And not only have I done that, I've reduced the entirety of my being, who I think I am, to words in sentence structure that are inaccurate. Dude, it'd be one thing if, like, he, him, if I thought, like, dude, who I am is my pronouns, he, him. That'd be absolutely crazy. Sorry, Google. I know crazy's on your list. That would be insane. What would be more insane is if I think I'm part of sentence structure that is objectively inaccurate. They, them. She, her. They, us. They, everybody. I am everybody. That's not narcissism. And then, of course, kill is on the list, too. That just, I guess, prevents them from having their list of banned words killed. Before we go, we want to take a look at what was mentioned earlier, where last year Google launched their uninclusive language initiative. So these words are on their current, just released to their staff. Don't use these words, guys, because we're idiots. Last year, what was on their uninclusive language list? Let's take a look. Here's something interesting you see in the article. A intense clamping down on offensive language. But a transcribed interview with ex-Ku Klux Klan leader David Duke, in which he uses offensive racial slurs and talks about hunting black people, prompted no warnings. So you can get a warning for saying mankind, landlord. But on Google, there's an interview with this idiot from the KKK with very nasty language. No warnings on that. They're probably like, oh, but he's actually doing our anti-racism initiatives, so that gets a pass. But it suggested President John F. Kennedy's inaugural address should say for all humankind instead of mankind. Cool. Thank you for correcting a president. They're probably like, dude, glad the CIA got him because this guy was saying mankind. Got to take him out. But the plot thickens of controversy with our inclusive language initiative. Siki Carlo, don't know who that is, of campaign group Big Brother Watch, sounds like they're doing God's work watching the government, told the Sunday Telegraph, Google's new word warnings aren't assistive, they're deeply intrusive. This speech policing is profoundly clumsy, creepy, and wrong, often reinforcing bias. Yeah. A Google spokesman, oh my lord, Google has a spokesman. Our technology is always improving. No, it's not. And we don't yet have a solution to identifying and mitigating all unwanted word associations and biases. Yeah, well, stop it. Stop trying to do that at all, Google. That's the problem with you. Google trying to ban words you might have seen a few months ago, Stanford's Inclusive Language Initiative came out with just an absurd list of banned words. We did a reaction video on that. You'll find that on this channel. With all that stuff coming out, I have to honestly say, I don't mind. I am highly amused by it. I think it reinforces and remotivates people to protect and preserve their right to free speech, sovereignty over their own minds and their own voices. So I think it actually helps the freedom movement. And thirdly, why I don't mind this, and I'm actually sort of glad when I see headlines like this, when someone bans words, the ban doesn't work unless you comply. I'm someone who will not comply. Why? I think reality makes the best reality. Message on my shirt. I think 1984, it makes a great fictional story, but it makes a rather lousy reality. And it only becomes reality when people consent to it, they comply, and they obey. It only works on sheep. End of the day, you and I get to choose, are we a sheep or are we a lion? And lions are who are going to make 1984 fiction again. And on that, just shameless plug, if you care to get the make 1984 fiction again, the shirt, the merch, this is the all-time best-selling design. People have loved the message. I love broadcasting it. I love the conversation starters. You know, it takes just 2 seconds for someone to think about it, and they're like, oh yeah, bro, where did you get I agree. Tell me about that. I love the connections and conversations that start. So nonetheless, if you'd like to grab a Make 1984 Fiction Again shirt or any of the other designs or pieces of merch, tumblers, hats, just to name a couple, you can always do that on my website, awakenwithjp.com. The link is in the description. And thank you for taking the time here to join me and being highly amused by Google's communistic activities. I think it's important to laugh about it. If you're laughing about something, you're sure as hell not going to be compliant with it. So I appreciate you laughing with me and being compliant with reality and non-compliant with reality-defying tyranny. I look forward to seeing you on our next video, my friend. But until then, stay free.